If you want to make your own pasta sauce, what you would do is you put this on the stove, you let it cook, and then you'd get one of your things. What's the thing?
Immersion blender.
Immersion blender. What's one thing every Italian person has in their kitchen all the time? Tomatoes. There's lots of different kinds in canned format, in fresh format. So why don't we start with fresh tomatoes?
Okay.
So they're either grown in a greenhouse. In the greenhouse, most of the time they're called hydroponic. That means they're not grown necessarily in a soil. They're grown with water. Tomatoes love sunshine. They do not like water. So one of the things about hydroponic tomatoes that a lot of people will say is they're really watery and they lack flavor. That's not to say you can't get a really good flavorful hydroponic tomato. Like, these are great. But when you're looking for that like real tomato sweetness,
right,
generally speaking, you're getting a field-grown tomato. This is a Roma tomato, in some cases a San Marzano tomato. This is gonna be really meaty. There's not gonna be a lot of water. There's not gonna be a lot of seeds.
Oh.
You want meat in bruschetta.
Yeah.
So Roma tomatoes make a perfect bruschetta. And this is just gonna be your standard greenhouse tomato.
What do we call that?
A tomato. You can already start to see
The difference.
the difference in color. This is what's referred to as a cluster tomato. Fleshy, but still have quite a bit of water and seeds. And then these guys here, these saporis, these are sometimes called Camparis as well. They're grown to intensify flavor. You would cut this up into quarters for salad, and you can cook with these as well because there's gonna be a lot of flavor in them too. So these are considered a brown tomato. They've shrunk down the size of them, which intensifies the flavor. Not a lot of liquid, great for salads. It's like the small cluster.
Right.
And the small Campari. Then you're gonna get into these beautiful things, which are heirloom. They're both meaty, sweet, these cool shapes and these cool looks. And they harken back to the original harken. You're going back to naturally grown tomatoes, original strains, grape cherry. They used to be cherry tomatoes. Remember when you could only get cherry tomatoes?
Yes.
And then grape cherry became super popular. Again, we're just taking our fresh produce right off the stand at Vince's to show you what we've got. When you're looking at all these tomato options, if you start to just look at color and texture, when you're thinking about it, you can see how much meat's on the outside
Right.
versus on the inside.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the Roma is by far the thickest. And that's what you're looking for a cooking tomato.
Right. And then the heirloom has like a crunch and juice for salad.
And it looks cool and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's got a little bit of a different flavor profile. Because the best tomatoes are grown at certain times in the year,
Yes.
tomato growing countries end up canning or packing their tomatoes. For the most part, if you're getting diced, crushed, or whole tomatoes in the can, you're getting a variety of a Roma tomato. If you buy San Marzano, it's a particular strain of tomato. It's got great meatiness and it's a sweeter tomato than a traditional Roma. In Italy, they have a designation called DOP. So if you find a DOP San Marzano tomato, what you know is that it's being grown in Italy,
Right.
in the region, it's been certified, and you're gonna get the authentic tomato. All of these are going to be partially cooked. You need to keep cooking it. Sometimes people mistake that and they cook it a little bit and then they're like, oh my God, it's sour, it's
I was
bitter.
gonna say, what does it taste like?
Ugh.
Acidic?
Ugh. You need to cook down that tomato-ness
Right.
out a little bit and you gotta get down to the sugars. But what you'll find is they will come in usually the juice that they were partially cooked in. Okay, so cherry tomatoes are going to be in their own juice that they were cooked in, okay? It's gonna add both tomato flavor, but it's also gonna add texture because they're whole. So this is great for adding to stews and also cooking, etc. So a diced tomato is going to be the Roma tomato. Pretty much you're just getting the whole tomato, but again, you're in sauce. You would do this in chili. You could cook this down for a sauce if you wanted it to be meatier. And then you've got whole peeled tomatoes. What you're getting here is you're getting the peeled version with sauce.
Okay.
So you've got whole plum tomatoes,
Right.
you've got diced tomatoes, and you've got cherry tomatoes.
Amazing. Chili, sauce, sauce.
Yeah, or stew.
I'm Irish, so stew's a thing.
Stew's a big thing. So with all this tomatoes here, we figured we'll make some sauce.